What is up, football fans, and welcome to NFL Nexus. We're so glad you're here. Before we get started on today's deep dive, please do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button, make sure you ring the bell so you never miss an analysis, and of course, like this video. It truly helps us grow the channel. All right, let's get into it. Today, we are breaking down one of the most surprising and, frankly, one of the most fascinating contracts of the entire NFL offseason. We're talking about a massive, franchise-altering payday for a player who, if you just look at the surface, doesn't seem to have the stats to back it up. But as we're about to show you, he is, without a doubt, at the very top of the Indianapolis Colts list of priorities. So let's just start with a number, because you absolutely cannot ignore it. $116 million. Let that number just sit there for a second. That is the maximum value of this new contract extension. I mean, we're talking about a figure that puts a player firmly in the conversation with the league's absolute elite at his position. It's a number that screams franchise cornerstone. But the question everyone is asking is, how? How did we get here? So yeah, let's really dive into this.
And right here, this is where the story gets really, really interesting. This 4-year, 9-figure deal goes to Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce. And if you're someone who just looks at the traditional box score stats, you are probably scratching your head right now. Because get this, in his entire 4-year career, he has never, not once, broken the 50 reception mark in a single season. So that really is the central mystery we're unpacking today. How in the world does a player with that kind of, let's call it modest reception volume, land a contract of this magnitude? Okay, to really understand the why behind this deal, we have to look past those surface-level numbers. We've got to peel back the layers and get into the nitty-gritty details of the contract itself. See, the Colts aren't just throwing money around. They aren't paying for the quantity of his catches. They're making a huge investment based on the quality, the impact, and the strategic importance of what he brings to their offense. So let's break down exactly what this massive payday looks like. So yes, that max value can hit that eye-popping $116 million mark, but the real story, the thing that shows you how serious the Colts are, is in the security. It's all about the guaranteed money. The contract includes a total of $84 million in guarantees, and even more telling, a staggering $60 million of that was fully guaranteed the second he put pen to paper. So you gotta understand, this isn't just a big number to grab headlines. This is a massive long-term commitment. This is the franchise telling everyone, this is our guy. And here's another huge piece of the puzzle. This contract wasn't simply a reward for what he's already done. No, this was a strategic, preemptive strike by the Colts front office. They're not just playing checkers, they're playing chess. They knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that if Alec Pierce had actually hit the open market, he would have been the most sought-after #1 wide receiver available. This move was all about locking down a critical, irreplaceable asset and completely avoiding a bidding war with other teams that they might not have been able to win. So how did we even get to this point? I mean, how does a second-round pick from the 2022 draft, a guy who wasn't putting up superstar volume stats from day one, command this level of respect and, frankly, this kind of financial investment? Well, his career journey wasn't some straight vertical line to the top. It wasn't an overnight sensation story. It was a much more interesting, steady, and deliberate climb toward a very, very specific kind of greatness. Let's rewind a bit. Remember, he came out of the University of Cincinnati, where he was a huge part of that historic Bearcats team that made the college football playoff. As a rookie, he came in and made an immediate impact, putting up nearly 600 yards, a really solid start. But then, look at his second year. You see a slight dip. Both receptions and yards went down. Now, at this point in his career, his numbers were totally respectable for a young player finding his way in the league. But they absolutely did not scream future $100 million man. Not even close. But, as this timeline really illustrates, that sophomore season wasn't the beginning of a downward trend. It was actually the calm before the storm. It was the launching pad. In 2024, you see he just broke out in a huge way, jumping to over 800 yards. And then, in 2025, he crossed that all-important, coveted 1,000-yard mark for the very first time. That's the year he truly established himself as a premier weapon in this league, even if the total number of catches still seemed, a little modest. And this right here is where the whole story just clicks into place. This is the aha moment. The entire justification for this massive contract isn't found in how many times he catches the football. It's not about volume at all. It is all about what happens when he catches it. It's about the sheer, game-breaking, defense-shattering impact that comes with each and every single one of his receptions. The Indianapolis Colts, their front office, their analytics department, they looked way past the basic stat sheet. They dug deep into the numbers that really matter. And in doing so, they found a single, incredibly powerful metric that elevates Alec Pierce from just being a good receiver into a category almost all by himself, a category that is absolutely 100% worth paying top of the market dollar for. We are talking, of course, about yards per reception, YPC. It's a really simple stat to calculate. You just divide the yards by the catches, but it is so profound in what it reveals about a player. It's not about racking up catches on short routes. It's about pure, unadulterated explosiveness. You could argue it's the ultimate measure of just how much damage a receiver inflicts on a defense every single time he touches the football.
And in 2024, Pierce didn't just lead the league in yards per reception, he completely shattered the curve. He broke the scale. And this chart just brilliantly illustrates the massive chasm between him and literally everyone else. An average of 22.3 yards every time he caught the ball. That is a full 5 yards, 5, more than the next closest player in the entire National Football League. That isn't just leading, that's absolute, unquestioned dominance. And just to prove that his historic 2024 season was not some fluke, not just a one-hit wonder, he came right back and did it again. In 2025, he once again led the entire NFL, this time with a 21.3 yards per catch average. Now, the gap wasn't quite as massive, but he was still nearly 4 full yards clear of the runner-up. So that's 2 consecutive years as the undisputed king of the big play. It's a pattern.
So let's zoom out and look at the combined picture, because this is what the Colts were looking at. Over the past 2 seasons, his average stands at a truly staggering 21.75 yards per reception. This isn't just a hot streak you see. This is a sustained pattern of elite, top-of-the-league explosiveness. There is no one else in the NFL who has come even close to that level of consistent, game-changing big play production. He is in a league of his own.
So this right here, this slide is the crucial point. This is what I call the efficiency paradox, and it perfectly explains this whole contract. Just look at this. Over that dominant 2-year span, his rank in total receptions was a lowly 94th in the league. 94th, but with those limited opportunities, he produced the 26th most receiving yards in the entire NFL. Let that sink in for a moment. He's barely a top 100 player in terms of chances, but he's knocking on the door of the top 25 in terms of actual production. That is the very definition of elite, almost unheard of efficiency. He does more with less than practically anyone. Now, we have to understand that signing this deal wasn't a simple decision made in a vacuum. It didn't just happen. It was actually the final move in a really high-stakes off-season chess match for the Indianapolis Colts. It was the culmination of a major strategic gamble that they believed, and I'm sure they're thrilled now, has completely paid off. So what was the big risk? Well, the big risk for Indianapolis was their decision to use their one valuable transition tag on their quarterback, Daniel Jones. Now, that move secured Jones for 1 year, but it left Alec Pierce completely unprotected. He was free to negotiate with any team in the league. That was a huge gamble. But the reward for that gamble? By still managing to get this long-term deal done, they've locked in their #1 bona fide deep threat and maintained that crucial offensive continuity for years to come. Risk meet reward. And you absolutely cannot discount the human element in all of this. In the NFL, chemistry matters a lot. All the reports are clear that Pierce has a really strong working relationship and friendship with his quarterback, Daniel Jones, and his personal preference was always to stay in Indianapolis. So for the Colts front office, keeping that QB-WR duo together, that specific connection was clearly a major priority. It's a key part of their offensive identity and their plan for the future. So what did this all mean moving forward for the Colts, for Alec Pierce himself? Well, a contract of this size, it's more than just money. It's a statement. It's a huge declaration of faith from the organization. But with that faith comes immense pressure. And at the same time, it unlocks this incredible potential for what this offense can become. And by the way, if you're enjoying this breakdown, please let me know what you think in the comments below. The path forward for Alec Pierce is pretty clear. Step 1 is simple. Keep doing what got you paid. He has to continue generating those explosive defense-stretching plays at a league-best rate. But the real evolution, the next level, is step 2. Can he maintain that incredible efficiency while also shouldering more targets? Can he evolve into a true all-around #1 receiver, not just a deep threat specialist? That's the key. And speaking of keys to success, a quick reminder to check out our awesome coloring books through the link in the description. They're perfect for fans of all ages and a great way to support the channel. And that, right there, that is the $116 million question. It's the question that's going to define the success of this contract for years to come. It will define the future of the Colts offense, and ultimately, it will define the legacy of Alec Pierce as a player.
The Colts have made a massive, calculated bet that the league's most efficient big play artist can now evolve into one of its most truly dominant forces, period. And you can be absolutely sure the entire league and all of us here at NFL Nexus will be watching very closely to see how it pays off. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.